You have found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, we'll be talking about DeMar DeRozan's summer workout, the vlog that he posted. We'll talk about training day coming up for the Chicago Bulls and media day. We got everything coming up. We'll talk about all that and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. That's Pat the designer coming to us from the basement in Barbarian, it looks like. Host and creator of the Windy City Breeze. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. Nonetheless, Pat, we're here to talk Bulls news, and today is the day. I always look at the media day as the unofficial start to the season. This is basically where everything kicks off. We got media day coming down 2 p.m. today. How excited are you for us to get into media day today?
Bro, it's one of those things where like it just lets you know that we're here and that there's either going to be a really good season ahead of you or a really bad season ahead of you. And I always think about like some of the worst media days we've ever had, bro. Like you just like, bro, like why is Chris Duhon wearing like the baggiest clothes you've ever seen in your life? Like what's going on out here, bro? It's always like an exciting time just to see kind of what the Bulls are going to unveil, to see what's going to be happening, what these guys are excited for, right? And then always, of course, right, you know, Mud's finna come out talking reckless in this mug, like, oh yeah, man, I just can't wait to get this season underway. And, you know, I got a new moves to unveil, and we've been working on a lot this offseason. It's like, come on, bro. Come on. But it's always fun, man. It's the beginning of a new season. And I'm glad that we get to cover it over here on Locked On, bro, and over on our own platforms, but definitely on Locked On.
For sure. It's going to be our first, media day, training camp, everything being a host of Locked On, which is always fun. But yeah, so the start of training, our media day is always a fun time because it gives us things to speculate over. Like, hey, did you see how much stronger Io looked? Do you see the way that it gives us so much? Like at the end of the day, like I'm just excited to get everyone back in the building. I'm excited to see, you know, what comes with them working out together. Billy Donovan, all the press conference. We're going to hear from every player today. Do you think they put Lonzo Ball on the podium considering what's going on? He got a surgery last week, so maybe he may not even be in the building. So
yeah, he's probably not even in the building. I doubt we see Lonzo at all throughout any of this process, right? And I think that's the hardest part about his situation, right? Because you're trying to figure out, okay, when's he gonna be back healthy? When's he's gonna be able to play? Like that's the part that's still gonna leave us in the speculation. I think that it would be better for AK, right? Because you're getting ahead of the situation. You're putting Lonzo out there and finally putting him like, okay, hey, this is what's going on. This is what you guys are going to see. But I doubt that we see any of that from AK. I think the biggest thing we're going to see from media day is kind of like, you know, just getting the Bulls message, figuring out where the Bulls marching orders are going to be from Billy Donovan, right? And what this team is really going to be looking to accomplish this season. Of course, they're going to say championship, but you kind of gotta sift through all of that to figure out, okay, what's the real goal this year? Like, what's the goal? You know, is it just to take one more step? Is it just to figure out, you know, who is Patrick Williams? Who is going to be the next guy, the number 2 or the number 3 for the future of this team, right? Like, I think those are the things that you really try to figure out from media day and just hearing kind of what the players are really looking forward to.
Yeah, for sure. It's exciting time in those aspects. Some of the biggest questions, and we know they're going to be asked a lot about Lonzo. I expect us to get some questions about who's going to be the starting point guard, even though I think me and you are both in alignment. It's probably going to be Io DeSumo, like it rightfully so at that point as well.
Yeah,
like I know there's talk about Goran because he's a veteran, and like it's going to be Io. But you know, hey, I'm willing to be wrong on that. We'll see what is going to be in that case. But you know, as we move from media days today, they're having their first practice tomorrow. We don't know how much of that we're going to see from that. I think historically the Chicago Bulls have been pretty closed off with cameras when it comes to their practice. Even that first one, we'll get a little bit of it, but nothing major. Some teams, they have whole productions in there when they have their first practice and release a lot of things. Here's the question I'm going to ask you. What do we see first? Do we see Patrick Williams scoring a ton and like a video get released, or do we see something that's like, hey, Kobe White just shut somebody down on the stretch and on a possession in practice? What do you think we're going to hear of first, bro?
Yeah. I think from the practice, I think it's going to be P. Will, bro. I think there's going to be a lot of excitement around what P. Will can do. And there's going to be a lot of focus on, okay, what adjustments have you made to your game? You know what I'm saying? Because we've seen the handle. We've seen the the little step back Jay pull up for the three. We've seen the back to the basket game. He looks like he's got a full-on floater package now. But okay, now what does that look like versus these guys that are really okay? These are the dudes that you're gonna be practicing with all the time. Zach LaVine, what Dalen Terry say? You think Zach LaVine giving me a layup? You know what I mean? Like, I want to see that type of stuff, man. And then I mean the Rook. We got to talk about that, right? The Rook's first media day. And we know how Dalen Terry is, especially if it's going to be a camera on that mug. You know he's going to be trying to egg this right out.
Was it Casey Johnson that asked him a question after Summer League, and he just gave a nice little snippet response? Was that Casey Johnson? I don't even remember, man.
Was that Casey? I
can't remember who. Somebody asked him a question.
Be right on that.
Somebody asked him a question like, yeah, seeing the Rook in his media day is going to be fun because it's like he's going to have the bright eyes, bushy tail. Like, he's just going to be really excited. And if he gets, we already know Dalen Terry unless somebody's trained him at this point, if he gets a stupid question, he's gonna let you know he thinks it's a stupid question with his facial reactions, if nothing else.
No, it was Sam Smith.
That's who it was. It was Sam Smith. You're right. Yeah, right. It was Sam Smith. You got to treat the OG with some respect there, Dalen. Sam Smith is a legend. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
Hey,
yeah,
listen,
but yeah, I love
Sam. I ain't gonna lie to you though. Sam be coming with some old questions now though.
Oh yeah, for sure. Do you think that is there any chance at all? How much percentage are you giving it? I guess is the better way to present it, of Goran Dragic being the starting point guard for the Chicago Bulls to start the season.
No, but I think that the question that you have to ask is, what is Billy Donovan going to value? Likely not. We're not going to see Goran Dragic end up as the starting PG just because Ayo's kind of earned that position. Ayo's kind of worked his way up there, right? And there is a little bit of a respect factor in the lineup when you break it down. But I mean, at the end of the day, right, like you also have to look at, okay, this guy's done this before. This guy's been the starting PG on a team before. This guy's played at a high level while being the starting PG on multiple teams before. We can at least fall back on him. I think that's more so why Goran's in the building than anything.
I agree. I think, and I think people can overthink it. Like when it comes to stuff like this, like, and then it didn't help that that rumor came out that he was guaranteed 20 to 25 minutes. Listen, I just don't see a world in which Goran Dragic starts over Ayo or Alex Caruso, considering they've been in this system. They have a year. And yeah, Goran's a veteran, but do you really want to have another defensive liability out there with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan? You need as much defense as possible. So.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you have to spread out where your defense is coming from, right? Like you have to spread out, okay, we got Ayo starting with Patrick Williams. That means that we're going to need Caruso off of the bench with, somebody, another Dalen Terry, or Javonte Green, because defense off of you, which still is pretty important as well.
For sure. But next up, we're going to talk about DeMar DeRozan and his summer 2020 vlog episode thingies that he's putting out. But first, I got to talk to you guys about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for your football betting info this season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchup news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to BetOnline.net or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline is where the game starts. All right, Patrick.
Why'd you go with that bar?
Hey, listen, bro. As long as your hotel internet is jacking up, you're Patrick, bro. I Patrick. Oh,
it's gonna be an interesting week of shows.
It's gonna be an interesting week. Pat's down in Vegas, all expenses paid, handling business down there. But somebody else who handled business this offseason was DeMar DeRozan. We got the first episode of his summer workout. Now, this was teased by Casey Johnson that did say that DeMar DeRozan was having a video drop tomorrow that was going to include some of his teammates. Little did I think it was going to be the production that it was. This is almost Hard Knocks level of offseason development here. We get in this first episode, we get him and his trainer, who's been his trainer since the end of his rookie season in Toronto, just talking about how he helps prepare, how his trainer focuses on preparing the body for unexpected things, keeping the body healthy to avoid injuries. And considering DeMar DeRozan has been one of the most healthy players over the course of his career, DeMar DeRozan hasn't really had any major injury that's kept him out for an extended period of time for most of his NBA career. So apparently it's working. And he talked about how like he never plans the workout with DeMar DeRozan, much like he wants his body needs to adjust to unexpected things during the season. He always throws a different workout at DeMar. DeMar doesn't know what they're going to be working on that day. This was just a fun thing to see. We got to see DeMar, and I don't want to call it an entourage, but his crew, his team also, and let's talk about how they work out with him as well, so that it helps DeMar build trust with them to know that they're always going to be there. Bro, this was one of the most insightful things that I've seen from a player's offseason in forever, bro. I really, really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was really in depth, right? Like you got to see a bunch of, I guess we can call them cameos, right? That you were like, wow, like this is really a high level production, bro. They trying to put us out of business. That's my takeaway from all of this, right? Like everybody's in the YouTube game now. Like, relax, dog. Y'all got the NBA, we got YouTube. Let us have something out here. But I'll say this, right? Like I like what DeMar. I love the fact that players are showing this side of themselves, right? Because it makes you build respect, and I think it's something that really The Last Dance kind of did, right? Like I think we all know Jordan dropped The Last Dance for petty reasons. He wants to remind these young kids about who he was. I think that's pretty well documented at this point, but when you look at it, right, like, and you look at the documentary that he puts out, it gave you a newfound respect for Michael Jordan. It gave you a newfound respect for what the 90s Bulls went through to win those 6 championships. I think you're seeing a lot more of that now, where people are like, listen, I'm not going to give you an Instagram video every day. I'm not going to give you a TikTok every day of me working out. But what I will do is show you what we're really doing in the offseason, the work that we're really putting in, and that all these mugs around us are really putting in, and what goes into turning yourself into a great NBA player, not only for fans and stuff to look at, but also for people to say, okay, that's the kind of work I need to be putting in to get to the league. So I like that the players are kind of giving back in that sense.
I mean, yeah, we have more access to players than what we ever have. Like, and not only with them doing things like we do with podcasts, but like just look in their lives. And I mean, nowadays too, like the camera in your pocket that we carry around every day on our phones is good enough to really produce some high level content. And we've seen players take advantage of that, even with the money that they have. Is just like utilizing their tools, posting it, putting a little bit more time behind the production of it. Like, this is the age of the creative. And I think sometimes we paint players in box to realize, hey, playing in the NBA is an amazing job, but it's still their job nonetheless. Yeah. These players have aspirations, loves, dreams outside of just that. And for so long, like me growing up, like you just saw a player as a player, and then like you heard rumors of Jordan gambling from time to time, but we never got the access like we do now. Could you imagine a Dennis Rodman with a camera in his phone in his prime, bro? That would have been the thing to be at, bro. Like,
are we saying this is still set in the 90s? Because if not, Dennis wouldn't be playing basketball very long.
Oh man, that's hilarious. I mean, factual, but it's still hilarious.
As soon as you found out Carmen Sandiego was on the court, you'd have been like, "Oh God, wait a minute, Dennis, you can't do that."
Carmen Sandiego, Carmen Electra.
Carmen Electra, hey, it's early out here, my boy. Where is Carmen Sandiego?
This man said Carmen San Diego. I'm like, wait a second, what am I tripping?
Hey, don't worry about it, man. Carmen Electra, you know what I was talking about.
Hey, listen, bro.
Everybody
I understood what you were getting at, bro. You know, it is what it is. We understand what you're getting at, man. But yeah, Dennis Rodman.
I'm blinking twice. Help.
Allen Iverson with a camera. Yeah, they would have been out the league, bro. They would have been out
you know what I'm saying? Like, I think the funny thing is too, right? Like, you're seeing a lot of these guys with the cameras, with like you said, more access and posting online and stuff like that. And I think the thing that is kind of being put out, even with DeMar doing a documentary like this, is also I don't know if it's a message, but I see it as like to these young guys, like, listen, you can show them what you do. Don't tell everybody everything. Like, that's kind of how this feels to me. It was like, listen, you can show them what you do. You can show them how you work and stuff like that. You ain't got to post everything. We don't need to see everything, right? Like, that would have been the message to them old school players back then, too. Like, hey, AI, stop posting stuff.
Hey, man, you posted. Stop it.
We know Muggs is rolling up in the back, but we don't want to see it.
Oh man, yeah, maybe, and you know, maybe it's better than a lot of the players back then didn't have access to cameras. Then you completely changed my thought and my thought process on what I was.
The 90s was a wild time, bro. Early 2000s too, bro. Like, you know, probably some players down at Freaknik. It's just like, come on, bro, what are you doing here? Go to practice or something like that. But it's like you said, bro. It's like these players have a ton of aspirations, bro, and I think it changes the players into what we always should have viewed them as regular people instead of them being superheroes. Right? Like, I feel like the players of our childhood were superheroes to us, when in actuality they was regular people going through regular people's stuff. And I think it humanizes everybody a little bit more.
Yeah, it makes the playing field even, right? Yeah, it does. It absolutely humanizes it, and we need it to a degree. We need to be humanized a little bit more than what I think players and people are and everything. So, yeah, the access is amazing and everything like that. Here's the question I'm going to ask you, bro, and I kind of talked about this a little bit on CBC. DeMar DeRozan, what are we looking for DeMar DeRozan this season? Are we looking for a repeat? Do we even need him? Do we have enough steps to where DeMar DeRozan doesn't have to have that same type of? And by that I mean the late game heroics. Still give us all that. I mean more so the heavy usage. The almost at some points in game it was DeMar and everybody else get the rebound if DeMar misses it, and we gonna give it back to DeMar. Do we see a little bit of change in that way?
I think you have to, right? Like, there has to be a change in at least the system to me, where I look at this and I say, okay, like, there's a lot that DeMar did last season that even last season we would have said, I don't want to see you doing that, right? Like, I think the biggest change that the Bulls need to go to is understanding that there's multiple stars on your team and you don't have to just go to one. Listen, there were moments last season where Vooch was cooking and we would go away from him. We wouldn't keep riding the hot hand. There were moments last season when Zach was feeling it, right? Like, I think the knee played a little bit more into that, but even early on in the season, right, we were kind of trying to, okay, let's get everybody involved. And it's like, no, you have an opportunity. They have to figure out when they have an opportunity to step on somebody's throat to take it. And I think that that's the one thing in year one that we didn't see enough. The Bulls had a lot of opportunities to step on teams' throats, and they didn't take it. There was a lot of times where they would, you know, okay, we got them up. We got a nice lead here. We can play a little more passive. It's like, no, I get like you want to chill, you want to relax and stuff like that. But if DeMar and Zach and y'all are on the floor, y'all need to kill these mugs so that they lose their confidence. That's what the Warriors do. The Warriors will destroy you early, like murder you early. And then by the end of the game, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, they sitting on the bench because they don't have to play anymore because the other team doesn't even have the spirit to win anymore. Like, so I think that's the one thing that you see championship teams do a lot. And what it does is it brings in an amount of confidence that you can beat any team on the floor. And it gives you that confidence, especially to the younger dudes on the team. And it brings in an amount of rest that I think this Bulls team might really need, especially with this schedule. You're going to have to put these teams away early with the amount of back-to-backs, with the little amount of rest that you're going to have all season.
Yeah, I mean, we need to see improvements from the Chicago Bulls in that way. Like, we need to develop a killer instinct of just putting our foot on people's necks, and hopefully we see that, bro. Hopefully we see that a lot. Now, one thing before we go that some Bulls fans are hoping that we do see now that it's been made, he's not going to training camp, is a trade for Jae Crowder. Go ahead. Take it away, bro.
I wouldn't be. Here's the thing, right? I'm not mad at it, but what does it add? What are you looking to add with the trade for Jae Crowder? Are you going to bring Jae Crowder off of the bench?
Well, yeah, I think it would have to be off the bench thing. But here's the thing that Jae Crowder that I looked up and saw that gave me some more understanding of why people are clamoring for this is the fact that Jae Crowder on catch and shoot 3-pointers last season at 8 per game, almost 39% shooting from that. That's solid.
That's really solid, and I think you feel a little bit more confident with him than you would with a guy like Goran Dragic. I think I guess it just comes down to like what are you giving up in that situation to go get him, and where do you feel like the Bulls could utilize him best, right? Because I don't know, I don't know if Jae Crowder comes. Well, I guess if you're trading for him, he would have no choice. But I don't know if he's looking to come to the Chicago Bulls to be a bench piece here, right? Like, and as tough as it is to say, and hopefully that he proves me wrong this season, but can we say that we bring him here and he's not in the better position, even if we feel like Patrick Williams is the better player long term, but to be a power forward on this team than Patrick Williams would be?
I mean, he's not going to start over Patrick Williams. Let's be clear here. I mean, but his ability to come in and play backup 3/4 offer some shooting. He's shooting from the field is terrible. He last season it was like 36% overall field goal percentage, which is not good at all. But specifically on those catch and shoot threes and the defense, I think if you add him to a bench unit, because Io's going to be in the starting lineup, if you add him to a bench unit with Alex Caruso, Kobe White, well, at that point, you would almost have to give up Kobe White in the trade. So you add him to a bench unit of Alex Caruso, him, Andre Drummond, Javonte, if you're able to hold on to him, Goran Dragic. I like the addition of his defensive intensity, being a veteran off the bench. He kind of can be on that bench unit what we need, even if, like, God forbid, a Caruso goes down or something like that. But even then, when you look at giving up a 22-year-old player for a player that's 11 years older than him, that doesn't put you in, like, it would be different if the Bulls, much like with a lot of deals, if the Bulls are already, like, let's say they made it to the ECF last season, that's the type of move then you make to kind of get you over the top. Considering the fact of how far the Bulls are and how quick too, like, because I think the Bulls are going to want to see if Kobe's improved over the course of this offseason. Yeah. And it seems like the Suns are going to be motivated to move Jae Crowder before the season starts. I don't know if the Bulls should do that without getting a chance to look, because if Kobe has improved what he offers offensively off the bench while still some defensive limitations, the Bulls kind of need that more, despite Jae Crowder's catch and shoot 3 ability.
I mean, listen, right? You would hope that Kobe White's giving you that this season if he's worked on that this offseason with the handle and stuff like that, right? Like, Kobe White can shoot the ball, and that's why you brought him here, because he was a guy that could get to the bucket. He was a guy that could space the floor for you, right? Like, those are the things that you want to see him do. So if he has truly improved his game, then yeah, I'm with you, right? You'd rather have Kobe White in that situation. But I think what it comes down to is, can you, one, are you even in a position to get the deal done? And two, where do you see Jae Crowder fitting in, right? Like, I think at that point you're talking about the Rook getting more minutes off of the bench, right? And Dalen Terry. I think at that point you're talking about Alex Caruso kind of being the number one, basically your 6th man coming off the bench, which is fine in that situation. And then essentially Goran Dragic moves to a role where he's not even probably getting any tick off of the bench. And you probably end up moving on from him. Maybe he's included in the trade as well. It would be back. Is Jay? He's still with Phoenix, right?
He's still with Phoenix. Yeah.
Hey, send him back to Phoenix, man, where Derrick Rose baptized him. You know what I mean? So I think the biggest question mark around all of it is just, right, like, how would that rotation go? And is that rotation better than the rotation you have now? Like again, you said the catch and shoot ability is great, but at the end of the day, is that enough to just say, okay, that makes up for what we've lost? I think the defense going into it is a little bit more exciting out of anything, but we've seen some pretty decent defenders on this Bulls bench here. So I don't know. I don't know if it's adding something that we don't already have outside of the catch and shoot.
And see, that's the thing too, is like, you look, Jae Crowder offers more size and length, but like, you're getting that without giving up something like the combination of Javonte. If you can merge Javonte Green and Derrick Jones Jr. into one person, that's Jae Crowder.
Except much older.
Yeah, except much older. So it's like, I don't know. I understand why Bulls fans want it. I understand why there's some desire there, but I would more so if because keep in mind, Jae Crowder, $10 million contract. If I don't see a lot of teams moving the assets that the Suns may need, I would rather wait it out. If they buy him out, that's what I would love to see. If you can add him rather than have to trade for him and give up assets, I like that deal a lot more in that case. So if you can wait it out and Phoenix ends up buying him out, okay, let's have that conversation. I'd rather do that than give up assets and even the Portland pick to try to bring in a Jae Crowder.
I think the biggest question mark there is he going to pick Chicago, right? Like that's probably the one thing where Bulls fans are saying you trade for him, you know that he's here, you know that he's in the building, and at a minimum he's playing for you this season, and maybe you gave up some players that you might have gave up at the end of this season anyway, so you got some use out of them. But I don't see Jae Crowder adding something to this team outside of the size, right? And here's the thing. I think we've kind of forgotten about this just because we've gotten so far away from Summer League, but clearly it seems like their plan is to use Marco a little bit more this season.
That's true.
So if Marco can play right, you got to think about coming off your bench. You got two solid 7-footers coming off your bench, and Andre Drummond and Marko Simonovic. Now, depending on what he's going to be able to do on the actual NBA court, right? Like, you better not go out there and keep getting dunked on this season. I'm going to be clowning you all year. But I think that's the part where it's like, okay, they're planning on going younger. They're planning on going with this young size. If we already have that in the building, why would we go out and get Jae Crowder in a trade? Like you said, in the buyout, I'm fine with it. It's just a matter of if he comes to the team then. But in a trade, it's like, are we getting that much better if we go get Jae Crowder? Like, I feel like you're staying at the same level.
There you go. Good point there. But let's go ahead and wrap up, brother. That is it for today, man. Go ahead and give them to him. Let's get up out of here.
Hey, man, follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. I will be just dropping wink emojis all day to let you know that either I'm safe or I'm not. 1 wink means yes, 2 wink means no. And then follow us both on everything at Locked On Bulls. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us, man.
Absolutely. You can follow me at CEO Haize, CEO Haize. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls and making us your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, go and check on Locked On NBA, where the Locked On experts breaks down everything going on in the NBA in 30 minutes or less. You can get them wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Before Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This is Locked On Bulls, and we out this mug. Peace, y'all.
Peace, y'all.